San Francisco. At Amazon's Seattle headquarters, some employees on Monday made internal announcements about their intent to leave their positions. Employee organizers urged their coworkers to strike on May 31, 1 week after the company's annual shareholder meeting, in response to their dissatisfaction with layoffs and the return-to-office requirement, as well as their worries about Amazon's climate promises. These messages were sent out via Slack and email. "Morale feels like it's at an all-time low," said a Los Angeles-based Amazon employee who plans to participate, who spoke on the condition of anonymity to protect their job. "In meetings and one-on-ones with colleagues, there's so much uncertainty and lack of clarity from leadership. It's an unsettling time to work at Amazon." The walkout is a part of a larger wave of fear that is escalating into unrest among Silicon Valley workers as hiring curbs follow mass layoffs amid an impending potential recession, organizers of which expect to attract at least 1,000 participants from Seattle. Morale has drastically declined at Meta as senior managers got significant incentives as the company continues to fire thousands of employees. Employees at Google are preparing for additional job cuts. Tech CEOs recently portrayed a generally more optimistic financial picture for the businesses during a round of earnings calls. But today, as their ability to effect change is diminished by their lack of job security, employees at the traditionally opulent corporations are becoming more angry. The difficulties in the tech industry began around a year ago, when loan rates increased and made it harder for startups in particular to get quick access to capital. One of the first businesses to admit that it had overhired during the pandemic as a result of the massive increase in demand was Amazon. Following Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter and accompanying personnel reductions in November, other digital Goliaths quickly followed suit. In the end, layoffs were announced by Meta, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, eliminating tens of thousands of what were formerly some of the coziest and highest-paying employment available. In a March blog post, Meta chief executive Mark Zuckerberg called 2023 the year of efficiency, saying, "While I know many of you are energized by this, I also recognize that the idea of upcoming org changes creates uncertainty and stress." Investors provided practically unlimited spending capacity to tech leaders for more than a decade in the pursuit of market dominance and the discovery of the next great breakthrough. The tech sector was in a gold rush, and San Francisco, where it was headquartered, was a boomtown. However, vacant storefronts and office buildings can now be seen, and longtime friends who are waiting on the bus home start asking each other, "Did you survive the cuts?" At Google, where staff members have been waiting anxiously since January for rumors of new layoffs to materialize, the enforcement of return-to-office norms is also increasing concern. According to persons with knowledge of the situation who requested anonymity out of concern for retaliation, employees are concerned that the corporation may exploit internal regulations to reduce employment without making layoff announcements. In the third phase of a months-long workforce reduction that will lose 10,000 employees, Meta expects to make further layoffs this month. Employees used Blind, an app that enables users with a company email access to a private and anonymous message board, to exchange information about the cuts and complain about the company's management as word of the layoffs spread. According to copies of the post seen by the Post, users on the platform engaged in an anonymous poll in March asking whether they wanted Zuckerberg to quit the business. According to people with knowledge of the situation who spoke on the record under the condition of anonymity for fear of retaliation, some employees have accused the company's top executives. This is because they failed to make wiser investments or refraining from an overly optimistic hiring spree that contributed to the need for these cuts in the first place. Others were incensed that they learned about the layoffs via press stories and that senior officials lacked clarity over the organization's overarching objective, according to the sources. Tensions between senior executives and lower-level employees at the company erupted once more earlier this year after it emerged from Meta's regulatory filings that the social media behemoth had given some of its top executives extremely lucrative bonuses for exceeding the company's overall ratings. Following employee complaints, Zuckerberg later said at an internal meeting that the business will alter the bonus structure for senior employees, according to a copy of his remarks obtained by the Post. Since 2022, Amazon has cut 27,000 workers within the corporation. Employees at Amazon received more bad news 4 days after the business announced 9,000 additional job cutbacks on March 20. The petition that more than 30,000 of them had signed requesting for a revision of the return to office requirement had been rejected by the company's head of human resources. As a result, some employees would have to pack up, sell their houses, and move without knowing if the job they were relocating for would still be available when they got there. Additionally, all employees would be obliged to show up in person 3 days a week. There are so many people who are caught in limbo and unsure of the longevity of their tenure, said the Los Angeles-based employee. To me, that goes back to this complete lack of communication and transparency from leadership. In addition to lately reducing employee stock incentives, Amazon has been dying off goods, axing divisions, and shedding leadership. The company came under pressure to modify its return to office policy in March after hundreds of workers joined a Slack group to debate the issue. After that failed, those workers ultimately made the decision to stage the walkout, which is now scheduled to take place the next week. I think there is so much frustration with the company on so many fronts, and it's all stemming from the same place. Leadership is making unilateral decisions without the input of its workers, said a Seattle-based Amazon employee who spoke on the condition of anonymity to protect their job. And I believe that a lot of people are in a similar position where they are just done. They're fed up. They want to be heard.